I graduated from juvenile hall.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
You graduated from juvenile hall.
In high school, yeah.
So that meant you was kind of respectfully a troubled kid.
Oh yeah. I was with it. That was a whole different life. So where I lived, I grew up in the 70s.
Okay.
And my dad was the only working black man on the block. And so there was no, real positive black male influences besides him.
Wow.
Well, my dad died when I was 14.
I'm sorry.
And so I went wayward, right? Started getting in the streets, doing stuff, high-speed chases, selling dope and all of that, and they sat me down.
Wow.
And after getting sat down for a while, I woke up and was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to live this life, and luckily, I had the opportunity, I still got my guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that if I wanted to do better, I need to be around other people that were also trying to do better. And so that's how I found 100 Black Men of the Bay Area.
Welcome back to another episode of the Big Dog Talk Podcast. It's me, the one and only Big Charles. I have done it yet again. I have an inspiring guest. Wait, before I even go into that, you guys go to the Big Dog Talk Podcast YouTube channel and hit subscribe. I need your support. I need your support to help spread the word and make this go viral. But back to what I was talking about. I have an inspiring brother by the name of Marco Lindsey. I'm going to read his bio directly because I don't want to miss a beat. Marco T. Lindsey is the Associate Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at UC Berkeley's. Is that Haas or do I say Haas? Haas School of Business. He was their first Black Chief of Staff. He has worked and taught there for over 17 years. In addition to his role at UC Berkeley, he serves as the principal of MT Lindsey Consulting. Born and raised in East Oakland, Marco is a member of the Bay Area chapter of the 100 Black Men of America. He has collaborated with organizations such as Google, Lyft, Meta, Netflix, Amazon, and many others on DEI and hiring initiatives. Marco has received congressional recognition from Congresswoman Barbara Lee for helping Black people land roles in tech. Can I shake your hand? Golly.
Yes, indeed.
I just want to be sincere. And I never know how my episodes are going to go. But you are another brother that I watch speak at the Excel Oakland event.
Yep.
And you spoke with so much confidence. You spoke with so much passion. I don't want to say ignorant to DEI.
Okay.
But you made me want to learn more. You made me want to share it with not only with the Bay Area, but the community of the Big Dog Talk podcast. It's all over the world. And the way you carried yourself, just your demeanor, everything was inspiring to me.
Thank you, brother.
And I am so glad to have you on this show. And I mean this sincerely. Like I told you earlier, I don't have any motive but to shine light on you and the topic that you talk about.
Yeah.
I found it interesting. And I said, this brother has to come on my platform and share his knowledge. So again, the lights are on you.
Okay.
Tell us about yourself. Where you from? Give us a little history about your background.
Got it. So born and raised in East Oakland.
Okay.
Both parents from Mississippi, but they met out here. Grandmother had 13 kids in Mississippi. Klan burned down her house.
Stop. Mississippi. Hold on. Y'all know Big Charles from Mississippi. Let's go. All right. Let's go.
So the Klan burned down my grandmother's house. Ku Klux Klan.
Wait,
Yeah.
the Klan.
The Ku Klux
I
Klan.
missed that part.
Yeah. And so her and her brother, my grandmother had 13 kids. Her husband, my grandfather, had already passed. Her brother, which is my great uncle, and his wife, they had 19 kids. They all packed up the next day and moved out here to Oakland, California.
Wow.
And so a lot of roots here in the Bay Area,
right.
a lot of family. If I go outside and spend a day, I'm guaranteed to see somebody I'm related to.
Wow.
Right. And so, went to schools in East Oakland, Howard Elementary, King Estates, went to Castlemont for a bit, but actually, I graduated from juvenile hall.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
You graduated from juvenile hall.
In high school, yeah.
So that meant you was kind of respectfully a troubled kid.
Oh yeah. I was with it. That was a whole different life. So where I lived, I grew up in the 70s.
Okay.
And my dad was the only working black man on the block. And so there was no, real positive black male influences besides him.
Wow.
Well, my dad died when I was 14.
Oh, sorry.
And so I went wayward, right? Started getting in the streets, doing stuff, high-speed chases, selling dope and all of that, and they sat me down.
Wow.
And after getting sat down for a while, I woke up and was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to live this life, and luckily, I had the opportunity, I still got my guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that if I wanted to do better, I need to be around other people that were also trying to do better. And so that's how I found 100 Black Men of the Bay Area. Just looking for other brothers that want to give back. I mean, just to be honest, like...
Wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
You said that's how you found it?
The 100 Black Men of the Bay Area, yeah.
So how long have you been a member?
13 years.
13 years?
Yeah.
You play a certain role in then...
Yeah, so I'm the Director of Fund Development. I actually been on the board, but I just stepped off in January, so that way I can let some new brothers, get some time to shine. But yeah.
But we going fast, though. We're going to get to that
Okay,
part.
yep.
Because I'm still, I never would even thought that you graduated from juvenile based off who you are right now, which that just gave me chills all by itself. Because if you wouldn't have shared that part of your life to me, I wouldn't have known that.
And most people don't.
So my question is, though,
mm-hmm.
How do you go from, am I using the correct word, terminology, juvenile delinquent,
Yep.
to being this guy? How do you go from there? That's amazing, by the way.
That's a good question. It takes a mind shift, right?
Okay.
And it's about exposure, and it's about wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm East Oakland, 73rd, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was my world, right? But I was sharp,
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat down, in juvenile hall, and actually it's called California Youth Authority, CYA.
Okay.
And that's like the baby pen, if you will. Wow. But it's like, I got all this time, let me read a book.
Mm.
And what I did is that I decided to read a book on every subject. What I mean by I'm reading books on biology, I'm reading books on DNA, I'm reading poetry, I'm reading books on math, I'm reading books on life. And it just broadened my horizon. And it made me think differently. It made me think better. It made me think about the world more holistically. And it made me realize that 73rd ain't the middle of the world.
Mm.
And so from that, I'll say a couple things, I benefited from that. But because I come from that world, I respect it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I try to tell people all the time, you talk about, the bippers and you talk about the young criminals, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people I was him.
You was him.
I know y'all afraid of him, right? And I'm in a lot of circles with, white people. I work around a lot of white people.
Oh my God.
And they so afraid of East Oakland. They so afraid of the young black man. And I try to you're afraid of him, but understand that I was him.
I was him.
God. Right. And you're comfortable with me. And so how can we pour into the hymns out there so that way they can become me or something like me? Right?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So I was him. What is your strategy? I'm going to get to the questions of what
I know.
but this is catching me off guard.
Okay.
I was him. Let me just slow it down then. I'm guessing that. Oh, my question is this. Okay, your pops passed away. Dad, your father passed away at 14. Condolences.
Thank you.
You seem like a really strong male, though. Where did that spirit come from?
Well, it came from my father. And just to be clear, my father, was, I call him a man's man, right? He paid all the bills, right? He showed up. When my father, I've never seen nobody check my father. I've never seen nobody yell at my father. Like, he was that guy, right? He was a black man, he showed up. And I seen that.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, this is the model I grew up with. And just, I think that's extremely important. And, not to, get too far off topic, but I do believe that a lot of the problems that we have today is because a lot of young men don't have that.
Don't have a father.
They don't have a father, but they don't have a father who's showing up in that way.
Ooh.
Right? And so a lot of them don't have fathers, right? And that's a problem.
Okay.
But then a lot of them have fathers that's either not there, they have fathers that's not pouring into them, and then they have fathers that are not showing up as men and like owning the space that they in, right? Having a voice, making sure that they're showing up in a way that their son or daughter can be proud of.
Wow.
Right? And with that focus.
You're heavy on family.
Oh yeah. Huge.
I see that you took a trip. I'm giving.
Yep.
If I'm talking too much, let me know.
No, you go right ahead.
I see that you took a one-on-one trip with your son.
Yep.
And I saw that you said that you love your family.
Yeah.
That's my question is to you before we get into the stake of it. What does family mean to you?
Family is everything. And so, my motto, well, not my motto, but my thought is always put your last name first. Always put your last name first. If you're always thinking about your first name, then you'll do things that'll only benefit you. But if you put a filter on your life and say, I'm putting my last name first, you spend your money differently. You spend your time differently. You have different conversations. And you start to think about the longevity of things, right? Right now, I'm thinking about my great-grandkids, and they're not even nowhere near conceived. But I realized a few things, right? One, I work at the Haas School of Business, right? And there's a guy who's Walter A. Haas. He did something so fantastic for his family that they're set for life. Everybody knows his name. People he will never meet will still know his name. What are we doing for our family so that way our great-grandkids can be like, you know what? Great-granddad Marco, he set us up. He created these pathways. And if we don't think about that, then you have to realize that whatever bad situation you're in, if you live broke, if you don't have a educational system, you don't have resources, it's because your great-grandfather didn't do it for you. And so how do we change that? And that's more than breaking a cycle. Like that's creating a new cycle.
Talk about it.
I mean, and that's what we have to do.
Wow. So you noticed that you said the Haas. What's
Haas?
You noticed that he created a legacy.
Legacy.
Right?
Legacy.
So how did your mindset, again, we're going to get to the meat of it, but this is so inspirational. How did your mindset just shift and say, you know what? Life is bigger than me. I'm not going to just focus on Marco, but I'm going to focus on my kids. I'm even going to be the sacrificial lamb for the ones that never even possibly get to see me.
Right.
How did you grasp this mindset?
Well, I'll say, a few things. One, just the fact that, I've never met either of my grandfathers, right? But I'll say I don't know any of their fathers' names. So that means they didn't do enough in our family for us to recognize them.
Oh, God.
You didn't do enough in your own family for your descendants to talk about you or to say that you, so I can't do that. I can't do that. And then just understanding again, I'll go back to, my juvenile hall days, reading reading about all these different subjects and these different, kingdoms, right? And all these different royal families and, other families and cultures where it's like, yeah, this is important. And you walk in the house and there's pictures of your great grandfather on the wall because of what he did.
Right.
And then the next one, because your great grandfather taught your grandfather how to move. And so he kept the legacy going, right? That's so important, especially for Black people, because we don't have that. That's not prevalent in our culture. And so as we have moved away from, the Jim Crow and the overt racism and all of that, and there are more opportunities that are becoming available. And don't get me wrong, we still face a lot of problems, right? We still have a lot of issues. We still have a lot of barriers to access. And, I do work in that area, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But even so, now that you do have an opportunity to do something, are you doing it? And, I think a lot of people see me, my friends, right? And they'll, I can't do, like, dude, I spent 4 years in jail while you were free. You should be way ahead of me. You had a 4-year head start. I'm not smarter than anybody else. I just read. You could pick up the same book. Matter of fact, I will lend you the book. But if you don't take that time to invest in yourself, then there won't be an investment. If you don't have an investment, you don't have any equity. If you don't have any equity, you can't pull from that. And if you can't pull from it, your kids can't pull from it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I did not know it was going to be this powerful. Man.
Yeah.
Man.
It's true.
Oh my God. You give me so many gems. You give me so many gems, man. Whew. This is good.
Good.
We're going to keep going then.
Let's do it. We're
going to keep going. So now I have to ask you. DEI.
Yes.
I heard you talking about this.
Uh-huh.
Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yep.
What is this?
So, DEI are 3 different terms that represent 3 different things, but we lump them together. Let me be clear on that, because a lot of people say DEI as if it's one thing, and it's not. And it would be the same as, I don't know, if you had a brother, right? Well, I'll just say me and my brother are the Lindseys, right? Now we have the same. You can call us that, but I think differently than him. I work at a different place than him. I have different everything than him, and that's the same thing with DEI, right? It has this lump of things that people like to call one thing, but it's really 3 different things, and so you have to break it down, right? Diversity is really about difference, right? And how can we promote more difference in the world? How can we create more pathways for people who didn't traditionally have pathways? I'm gonna just say here in the United States, right, where we are right now has traditionally been led by white men, right? Our political structure, our corporations, our everything. Let's just, traditionally, historically, white men have been in charge and they've made the decisions and they've looked out for one another.
Right.
And you can also go through history and find out where they have been very intentional and sometimes unintentionally excluding us, making sure that we didn't have access to these things that they had available to them. Like Black people couldn't work in the unions. Black people couldn't, ride on this in certain trains, right? There's a whole host of things, right? And so now you talk about diversity. Diversity is important because right now where we are, again, we've got here because we've had these white men in charge.
Okay.
That got us here. There's a guy named Marshall Goldsmith who wrote a book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And so they've got it this far. Maybe that's all right. But if we want to find solutions to the world problems, if we want to solve global hunger, if we want to fix climate change, if we want to do all these big things that we want to do that's, going to make money, but then also going to make the world better, you got to do something different. And that's why diversity is so important, because when you bring people into a room with different thought processes, right? Different backgrounds, different understanding of, the way the world works, you create more solutions.
But because you still, let me just ask my question.
Yep.
How do you convince those that have this power to invite people like you in the room? And how do you convince them that diversity is necessary?
A few things, a few ways I'll say. One way is to find somebody who already believes in it and leverage them. So it's some, let me be clear. It's some racist white people, no matter what, they ain't gonna like me.
Okay.
They're not gonna like you.
Okay.
Right? And there's sexist people, no matter what, they don't want a woman in charge, whatever the case may be, people have that. We're not gonna talk about them right now because there's nothing you can do with those.
Okay.
Right? I don't have the magic wand, but we have allies that are white and in space. And how can you leverage them? Right? They deal with me, right? And I can talk to them and say, hey, let's have more conversation. Let me let you understand this better. Let me help you understand this better. Let me help you understand why creating these pathways are important. And so that's one way, right? And also, there's a business case for it. And what I mean by that is study after study after study. If you can just Google, what does diversity do for business, right? Because what happens is study after study. I work at UC Berkeley shows that diverse teams, which means teams that have a whole bunch of different people, outperform homogenous teams, which are teams that have everybody that look the same. You outperform. And so if these companies are, these global companies, they're about creating shareholder value. They're about making money. They're about profit. And the way you make more profit is when you bring these different people to the table. And so helping them understand that, right? I think that's the first part. But we're talking about inclusion, right? That's diversity, but the inclusion piece of part of that is helpful too. Actually, is necessary because you can't bring everybody in the room together. That's all different, and just be like, here, because what'll happen is a lot of times organizations do this. They do diversity without inclusion, and it's like, we want you black people, we want you Mexican people, but we want y'all to come act like us. We want you to think like us. We want you to agree with us, right? We want you to bow down to us. Like, y'all be the little workers and we'll be the chiefs. That don't work.
Right.
When that's the model, you're not going to maximize profits.
Right.
Because you need people to feel included, which is the inclusion piece, so that way they can speak their mind. That way, when they see something going wrong, they can speak on it. I'll say this, just one example, right? I work at, UC Berkeley, the business school, and the business school gets a lot of, donations, right? I mean, people go through the school, they go make money and come back and donate. And so at one point in time, I was the chief of staff, and, this is to let you know how important different perspectives are. Okay. There was a guy who said he's going to donate $15 million to the school, right? And so, perfect, right? Everybody's happy, excited about it. Weeks go by, months go by. They schedule meetings, he canceled them. They done booked the trip. He in Singapore. He can't make it. He stopped responding to emails. And for whatever reason, they thought it was just something like a miscommunication. My diversity and black self know, hey, he ain't finna pay you.
Something fishy right here.
He ain't finna pay you. This is what happens. If somebody owe you money and you can't hear, he's not finna pay you. And it never crossed their mind. It never crossed their. It's like, well, he said he would do it, so he's gonna do it. Like, no, he's not gonna do it.
Different world.
So listen, we need to create a contingency plan for this not happening. And then we were able to do that, and then go find another donor that gave, But the point is, you need these different minds, because some stuff you're gonna get from the books. A lot of stuff you're gonna get from the book. But even more so, you get from life experience. And the more that you could bring your life experience to a table, the more you can bring that to the conversation, you'll create better products. You'll create more revenue. You'll serve more customers.
Sheesh. I was listening to it to like piggyback off of you. I was listening to a gentleman. I think his name is Jamal Brown. No. I don't know his name. I don't even want to say his name. But he was just speaking about how America should be more diversified as well in order to become a stronger nation.
Right.
So what do you say about so diversity, equity, inclusion is not all about just black.
Not at all. No, not at all. And I think that's a common misconception, right? And I'll say this, a lot of people hate DEI and diversity, equity, inclusion, because they learned about it wrong.
Okay.
And then let me just say this, right? When George Floyd was murdered, a lot of companies pledged $360 billion to DEI initiatives, 360 billion, right? So a lot of people got in the DEI field because it's like, oh, this is where the money at. But they didn't know what the hell they was talking about. And so they hosting, unconscious bias trainings. They're doing this after reading one book, and they went and told everybody the wrong thing. And now, you have all these people out there who think they hate DEI, but they don't even know what the hell DEI is. They had a misunderstanding of it, right?
Well, let me just get in, and remember that.
Yep.
So respectfully, though, when in my work field that I'm in, they were giving DEI classes, right?
Yep.
They had certain leaders speaking on DEI.
Yep.
And my perspective was, and my experience, that most of these, and this was around the George Floyd time.
Yeah.
And most of the leaders, including the ones that look like me, that on this platform, I'm not talking about worldwide, just my experience. They really weren't interested in strengthening the Black community. They had no interest in it. Like when I would share like a real life experience, they would talk about it as far as a fairy tale.
Right.
But when I was giving like let me give you some real life. Most of them were, I'm gonna just say, even like traumatized by the reality that I was giving them in the moment. And they really didn't want that on their platform.
Right. So
I guess I'm saying that to say that in that moment, it made me feel like y'all really don't care. This DEI BS, this is my perspective then.
Yeah.
Until now. This is some BS. Y'all doing this just for the numbers. Y'all doing this just for the money. Y'all doing this because we're in the moment right now.
Right.
And y'all know y'all just effed up and we have to correct this.
Right.
But in another few months, even around it, not too many people even talk about it that much anymore.
Right.
So I was one of them people that said, you know what? I don't really want to deal with that DEI. I'm sick of this BS.
Exactly. And that's exactly the point I'm making. And this is why a lot of people don't like DEI right now, because we had all these fugazi, these fake people come in who don't care about the community, who ain't from the community, right? And we all know, like, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, right? And so you have some Black people, right? And I'll talk about it. A lot of times the folk that get in these positions, they're not from our community.
Right.
And I'm not saying, I have nothing against, people who grew up in predominantly white communities. That's fine. But you become the voice for the Black people, but you don't, because you're Black, but you're not even connected to the Black people.
Thank you.
And so you're getting in there and you're doing the work and they're having these conversations, and you come along and you have an experience and whoa. That's too Black. You being too Black, right? I can't deal with that. Let me deal with my talking points, right? Let me deal with, what I read in this book. And then, everything else, let me get out of here.
Can't relate to me at all.
At all. They don't have the lived experience. They don't have the lived experience of being in the community. And I think that's a huge part of DEI work. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't have to necessarily have the lived experience to do everything in DEI, but to make those connections, to have that empathy for the people that you're doing the work for. I mean, I'm in this because I believe in it. Like, I was doing it when I was chief of staff. Like, I was doing DI work when I wasn't getting paid for it. I think about this all the time. I read audiobooks. I listen to audiobooks every day. I got a whole bookshelf full of books on it because it's that important to me. Because I know this is going to help us move our culture forward and helping people, us understand how important it is, but then also them. Because my thing is, I want to bring resources from their community to ours. I don't want to milk you for your money. They got a lot of money. How can we get them to spend their money on us, right? And let me be the conduit for that, because I have access. I have a certain amount of privilege because I'm in those rooms. I'm learning those conversations. I'm learning their language, and I'm learning all these things, and they feel comfortable around me. And so let me leverage that. Let me leverage your comfort so that way we can figure out how we can use that to make us better.
So how do we? Okay, now I gotta put some accountability on us. How do we, as a Black community, shift our mindset from okay, let's try this, let's give it a shot. But you basically asking us to trust, which goes against the opposite of everything that we experience in our history.
Trust what?
That's you saying like the diversity part.
Okay.
You know, and getting in these rooms of, I'm gonna just use the word privilege.
Yep.
How can we shift the mindset of getting Black folks to trust the privilege? Like, does that make sense, or am I?
To trust the privileged people?
Like, no, to trust like this community of diverse DEI. Like, how do you? Because some of us believe like, nah, I don't want anything to do with that. I would be that if I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. If I wouldn't have never had my experience of listening to you talk on the panel.
Yep.
Although I didn't know exactly what you were talking about, fully, but your passion and it made me want to believe. I want to hear more. So how do we get those who have already experienced, let's just say, like hurt from the so-called DEI world,
right,
to be open to even listening to this type of conversation?
I think it's a few things come to my mind. One, there has to be some healing,
okay,
and some reconciliation, because a lot of people have been burned, right? A lot of people have been, used and even, just not appreciated for what they bring to the table from the DEI field / perspective, right? But I'll say, and this is my belief, right? I'm not sure that we'll ever get another Malcolm X. I'm not sure we'll ever get another Martin Luther King, right? With this one big figure who can, radicalize all our people, right? I don't see it happening. We had Obama, but Obama wasn't just for Black people. Obama was for everybody, right? So what I do believe, though, is that all of us have a sphere of influence.
Okay.
You know some people that are listening to you that wouldn't listen to a word from me, vice versa. And I'm trying to get out there and help as many people as possible, plant as many seeds, help create more people that have this understanding and have this appreciation and want to do the work. And if I continue to do that, and then you continue to do that, and then he continue to do that, it's a groundswell.
Right on.
And we all come up and we all become better. But the primary thing that we have to focus on, I'm not focus on, but remember, is that everybody ain't in it for the right reasons.
Right.
And everybody, honestly, there are a lot of Black people who don't like Black people. I mean, and we some, some folks just like Uncle Ruckus, right? They like that, but then there's some Black people, like I do diversity. I help people get jobs in tech, right? That's my consulting business. But one thing that I find is that a lot of times a Black person won't hire or recommend another Black person because they're scared, if this person mess up, it's gonna make me look bad.
Oh, wow.
And white people don't do that.
Wow.
Jewish people don't do that. Asian people don't do that. Indian people don't do that.
But is that our fault, though?
Is what our fault?
That we've been conditioned to think like that?
It may not be, right? It's not our fault. It's in us. Whether it's our fault or not, we have to do something about it, though.
I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've been taught and conditioned to not like each other, right? Light skin, dark skin, house nigga, field nigga, right?
Yeah.
And so that happened. But let's talk about that,
right?
And let me help you understand that there's a reason you don't like me, brother. I remember growing up in East Oakland, where I was, we used to fight a lot. Like, it was just like the best, and it's like street fights.
You look like you can fight too.
No comment on that one. But listen, it's like if I seen a dude walking down the street and I didn't know him, I want to fight, and that's my enemy.
Yeah.
That's that hate that's inbred in us. Like, I don't know this dude.
Right.
And a lot of times that's still in a lot of us, right? Which is why you get people mean mugging you in the club. Why you mean mug? Go talk to a woman, right? But it's this hatred, and so this self-hatred, and so we have to do the work. I mean, but if you think about it, like I'm gonna tell you, listen to rap lyrics, right? And I'm a firm, I listen to rap. Like not born and raised, but I've been raised on it, right? But in rap, almost every demographic say they hate the demographic that they are. or they don't mess with them. Rappers, listen to rap lyrics. Like the rappers will say, I don't F with these other rap niggas.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can't stand niggas.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear the female rappers like, I don't mess with these hoes. These hoes ain't got nothing on me. These, and it's like, what you're saying is, I don't like myself.
Right.
And now I'm singing it, or our kids are singing it, and we take that on. And so that's a part of why that's happening. That's also one, an offshoot of the whole, black people not hiring black people. But we have to address it, and we have to talk about it, and we have to tell our kids about it, so that way they can do better and we can do better.
Now, I have to ask you this.
Yep.
How in the hell did you go from East Oakland to Berkeley? Like that's hot and cold.
Right. Yeah, it was a journey. So in my career, my first job was at UPS, and then I started working in supply chain management. So I went to biotech. And so I worked at a company called Carl Zeiss Meditech, company called Biorad, did outside sales. Also, I think that everybody in their life should have a sales job at some point.
I had that.
It's so important.
I hated it though.
No, right. You can hate it, but at the
beneficial now, but I hate it.
Right, because it teaches you how to convince somebody else to do something. Right. And that's every part of business. If you want a job, you're convincing them to hire you. Right? Mm-hmm. You want people to listen to your podcast, you got to convince them to listen to the podcast.
That's true.
I got to convince people to trust DEI.
Yeah.
Sales is that.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you can get those basic tenets, I think you'll be set for life.
Yeah.
Right. But if you can't, read a sales book like Zig Ziglar or something, it'll help you, along the way. And so did sales for a while, and somebody said, hey, we got this position open at UC. A friend said, we got this position open at UC Berkeley. We need to do some analyzing of the data. Right. And so some professor scores or whatever. And it was like, can you do this for, part-time? It was like, okay, I'll do this in the morning, do my sales calls in the afternoon. All right, boom. Somebody I did that for like a month. Then somebody who had just got hired she got hired on like a Tuesday. On that Friday, she had to quit. Death in the family. They said, Marco, you want to fill in her position? Filled in her position, was like a, office administrator. Then went to the office manager. Then went to chief of staff, and now I'm in the DEI space.
Wow. So you really didn't have any clue that you were going to end up here?
Nah, not at all.
That's fate.
Oh, yeah.
Dang. You seem really passionate behind this.
Oh, I am. I mean, and like I said, I would do this if I wasn't getting paid for it.
But here's the thing, is I know it's like we just talked about sales.
Yep.
And convincing people to believe. And I said I hated it, although I was really good at it. And I'm bringing this back full circle because even in sales, you have moments like, God damn it, I'm tired of this. I'm trying to convince people to see the benefit of this, and they think I'm trying to get over on them.
Yep.
So I guess my question is, Marco, how do you stay persistent? How do you stay consistent? How do you find joy in the midst of all of that, all of the BS that comes with it?
Right. I'll say a couple things. One, seeing the results, right? And talking to people who I've had conversations with, I've talked to, and they're like, you know what? Now I'm doing this. That's the joy. Right? When I meet somebody, like all the time, I meet somebody and they in high school. And I'll tell you this, and I'll tell this to your listeners. When somebody comes to me and they need help, I never say no.
Wow.
I'll always take the phone call. It might be scheduled. I'm always going to take the phone call. You got a kid trying to get to Berkeley? I'll have the conversation with, I'll refer them to everybody. Indiscriminately. Everybody. And again, I think that's how we push our culture forward, but then seeing the results of that. Whereas I have people walking, I don't even remember them. And they're like, you know what? We had a conversation and now I'm at Lockheed Boeing. right? I'm at Lockheed Martin. I'm at Boeing, or I'm a senior sales at Google. And it's like, okay, I planted a seed, or my fingerprints is on that success. And so that's one thing, seeing the folks. Secondly, therapy. I'm in therapy. And I highly recommend it. I mean, especially if you're from the inner city, you need therapy. All the stuff we go through as Black people, you need therapy. Because, there's nothing wrong. There's a stigma around. Nah, there's no stigma, right? You need to get this stuff out. Because, we deal with so much. We deal with so much, and you have to have that. And that helps me as well. And I'll just say this, like, all the chaos that's brought on the Black community, that hurts our psyche. We don't realize it, though. We get so used to it that it's normal. But, I'll say by the time most Black people, by the time my son I took on the trips, 19, he's been to more funerals than every white person I work with. He's seen more, right? And he has a relatively sheltered life, right? And so this is all stuff that weigh on us, and we don't do anything about it. And so that's another thing. Lastly, I travel. I mean, like, I take trips. Like, I'll do this work. I work hard, but then when it's time for me to push back, I push the hell back. I just went to Belize, right?
Like, how to have a good time.
Oh yeah. If you go out and have a good time and you see me there, you're guaranteed to have a good time.
You like cigars too, huh?
I love cigars. Yeah. I actually teach a class on smoking them.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
God damn. Can I come to the class?
Yes, you can, man. Yes, you can. Of course you can. Come on.
Golly.
Yeah.
Man. So, before we get out of here, we talked about how your father played a positive role in your life. We talked about you coming from Mississippi to Oakland and you being in juvenile. We talked about how you've overcame that, and now you are on a mission in the DEI space. You seem like a man of principles and values. Do you mind sharing like your core values to the community and why it's so important?
So I have 3. And I believe in these. I live by these. And if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll see, like, they're posted on my LinkedIn. I want the world to know. Okay. And so the first one is, live your life as if you was 80 years old and got to come back to today and do it all over again.
Oh, no. You got to look. Are you a preacher or something?
I'm not. Live your life as if you were 80 years old and got to come back to today and do it all over again. All of us, no matter how old you are, right? If you could go back in time and change something, there's at least one thing you would change. There's one thing that you wish you had done that you didn't do. Imagine 80-year-old you, and 80 is an arbitrary number, but at 80, I imagine you won't be as strong as you are. You won't be as cute as you are. You won't be able to think as fast. What will 80-year-old you wish that you was doing right now with the resources, with your health, and with your strength? Whatever that is, do that first. That should guide you. And 80-year-old me will be glad I'm on the Big Dog Podcast, right? I know this. Second one, if you help as many people as possible become successful, then you can't help but be successful yourself. If you put that out in the universe and you start helping people, it's going to come back to you. But even more importantly, like, even at a practical point, if I make everybody else around me a millionaire, ain't no way in hell I'm going to be broke.
Oh, not even possible.
Exactly. Last one. And this kind of goes to what we talked about a bit earlier, but you are somebody's ancestor. The decisions that you make now are going to affect people that you may never meet. What are you doing to benefit their lives? Because we all got ancestors, right? And you think about them and in this, this, I don't know, this ghostly way or whatever, but they was here. They was walking the same earth. You gonna be that. 2024 is brand new to us. But in 80 years, it's gonna be like the same way we look at 1924. What are you doing to benefit the people? And you can think about that for your family. And I'll say, you know, for me, it's important for the Lindsey legacy. Lindsey legacy. I talk about that. I believe in that. But then also the world. Are you leaving the world a better place? We need to. And so that's what I do. Those three things help guide me. And I believe in them wholeheartedly.
Where can my listeners find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn at Marco T. Lindsey, or you can go to my website, mtlindseyconsulting.com, or you can come to East Oakland. I'm in the East. I live in the 90s. You know, I've never left. I'm gonna say this. A lot of people become successful or professional or whatever, so they get somebody they run. They go live by the white people. Let's just talk about it. But what happens when you do that is the little black kids don't have nobody to look up to. I need my community to see, okay, it's all this stuff going on in East Oakland, but you know what? I know there's a black man who goes to work every day. I know that's a stand-up guy. I know he helped my mom with the groceries, right? They need to see that. And so I'm in East Oakland, and I'm also, you know, again, at UC Berkeley High School of Business. And so I'm around. I'm easy to find.
This has been amazing.
It's been a good conversation, my brother.
This has been amazing. Hey, I'm just letting you know now. We're friends now.
Oh, yeah. We stuck with it. Come on. We locked in. You already know.
Oh,
come on.
golly, this was amazing.